Hello, my lovelies, and welcome to the Moving Toward Better podcast. I'm your host, Karen Bemis from movingtowardbetter.com, and I'm here to help you live your best life powered by your unique and amazing personality. Hello, my lovelies, and welcome to the Moving Toward Better podcast. I'm your host, Karen Bemis. I'm a business, relationship, and life coach, and my superpower is helping you unleash the real you in the real world because anything less is BS. Today, we're talking about bringing light into dark times because I know many people believe that's what's going on right now. What I also know is that there are incredibly good people doing incredibly good things in this world, and they are bringing the light that we're talking about today. And I feel privileged to watch and be a part of it. Now, if you watch or read or listen to the news at all, there's a good chance that you're worried about something. If you care about human rights, politics, peace, the planet, or any number of things, you have no doubt heard about what is or could happen if we don't change something or if we don't change it soon enough. It is honestly enough to send you screaming into the night if you don't know how to curb the flow of negative information. And it's getting more and more difficult to do that. So we're going to talk about that today. I have a few suggestions, and I'm excited to share them with you. For those of you who are new to the podcast, I use the DISC personality system to help people understand themselves and others better. The DISC behavior system includes the driven, inspired, supportive, and cautious personalities, also known as D, I, S, and C. And I use those terms interchangeably when I'm talking about personality types. So let's talk about your personality type and what bringing your unique light into the darkness looks like for you. Before we do that, I do want to share a few things that all personalities can do to stem the tide of the ugly negative and regain your balance if you're feeling overwhelmed. Number one is to turn off the screens. It's so easy to stay glued to the screen these days, and every morsel looks a bit different. So we keep rehashing the same scenarios over and over and getting more and more upset. So step one is turn off the screen, at least for a little while. Second, if you're able, get out in nature. Do that, please. It's amazing how spending time in nature resets you, even if it's a walk in a city or a suburban park. We have a park near our home that used to be an airport. It's been converted into a suburban community with homes, stores, restaurants, and play equipment, as well as water features and even a wooded area to walk in. It's a place to have fun, commune with nature, and maybe even grab an ice cream cone. And something like that definitely resets my psyche when I spend time there. If you can't get out in nature, do something that brings you joy. Bake, cook, craft, paint a room, phone a friend, garden, even if it's a container or a fairy garden. Or if all else fails, watch a funny movie. I know I said to turn off the screens, but if you have no other resort, use that one. For example, if you have access to it, watch Ted Lasso. It's a wonderful study in human nature and kindness of all sorts. It will reaffirm your belief in human nature. Truly, it will. So, all that said, now let's dive deeper into the 4 DISC personalities. For the D personality, you are the doer of things. You get stuff done. You get into the fracas, you mix it up because you're not afraid to stir the pot, debate, or argue anything and everything. Sometimes you even argue the opposite of what you believe simply to have a battle of wits and see where that leads. The good part of that is that you encourage healthy debate and exchange of knowledge when you're in balance. You help people see different sides of an issue. And when you keep your wits about you, you have incredible influence and passion. The challenge comes when that passion turns to anger or your hunger to win gets the best of you. At that point, you can be overbearing and tyrannical. refusing to let the other person get a word in because you're on a roll and you're not stopping for anybody. Well, that can work beautifully when you're campaigning for a cause. It can be a death blow when you're trying to persuade someone to act in a way that serves the greater good. Lean in too hard, and even those who care about you and what you're saying will jump ship. And you'll find yourself adrift and alone with no one to help you steer the boat because those people felt alienated. You're not shy about burning bridges, but sometimes you do it inadvertently. And while you recover easily from that, others do not. And if it's someone you care about, once you've burned the bridge, it takes a very long time to rebuild the trust they feel you violated. The interesting part of that is that when we talk about know, like, and trust in business, most driven people I know do not like that phrase because in their world, trust is number one. I know D personalities who can do business with people they really don't like if they feel that they can trust that person. For other personality types, that's almost impossible. But for the D personality, it just makes sense, which is why when you bring your passion to the discussion, you need to keep trust in mind so you don't lose the very supporters you need and count on. Your superpower, though, in bringing the light, is that you tend to be the most productive personality type. You have a straightforward energy to get stuff done and get it done quickly. You have big energy and rarely have a problem taking the lead, especially when you know what the expected outcome is. You will take on anyone and anything that you believe in and lead the charge when necessary. You are the vocal ally, the one who stands up and says what you believe needs to be said. And like a warrior, you'll defend your beliefs with great passion. Hopefully, you'll make room for people who may have been previously in disagreement with you, allowing them to grow and learn and join your team later. When you can do that rather than beat someone down for changing their views, everyone wins. For the I personality, the fact that you like people and want people to like you can be your greatest asset and greatest liability in bringing your light to the world. You have a talent for keeping things light, including the things that get very heavy for other people. You're the person who can make people laugh at the most stressful times and provide some comic relief when it's most needed. Unfortunately, people can mistake your efforts to lighten things up as you being shallow or uncaring because you care about how people feel more than you care about the subject they might be disagreeing about. For people who are on the task side and are passionate about certain subjects, that can be infuriating. One of the best ways I've found to deal with this is to simply walk away, not in fear or disgust, but to save my own sanity. I have a family that loves to debate and argue about different subjects, and they can engage in that for a good long time. After about 15 minutes, I'm done. I either get upset or I zone out, and they don't get that at all. So I excuse myself to go do something that feels more affirming to me. That might be listening to music, writing, even cleaning, taking a walk, or calling a friend. But the best thing for me is to clear out. Why? Well, because trying to stick with a conversation that I have no control over or is not headed toward a solution is debilitating for me. For my family, it's invigorating. And if that's your thing, that's awesome. For me, it's better to spend my time doing something I'm happier doing, like cooking or chatting about something light, which allows me to keep supporting the ones that I love, no matter which side of the subject I happen to fall on. When it comes to bringing light into the dark, the I personality can often walk the middle ground, which can be tricky. You are willing to listen to each side and find areas of agreement. To some people, that makes you appear wishy-washy, when in your mind, you're merely being understanding and reasonable. Because you're able to love people even when they're not particularly lovable, You can sometimes get away with conversations others can't. You can point out how hurtful and offensive things are, even when they aren't meant that way, because you have empathy and you care about people. And that will sometimes lead them to listen to you when they won't listen to other people. Do not underestimate the power of that. I knew someone once who used the word stupid a lot. At one point, she started watching her grandchildren, and I mentioned how I never used that word concerning my kids. In fact, I rarely used it at all because I didn't want my children to have that notion in their consciousness. I wanted to keep it out entirely. And she rolled her eyes at me and she laughed. But a short time later, when one of her grandchildren started calling themselves stupid, she got it and she changed her behavior. She never meant to or did call her grandchild stupid, but she did say on occasion that what they were doing was stupid. Unfortunately, the child internalized it as, temporarily and thought she was stupid, which was not the truth at all. As an inspiring personality, you can plant those seeds without alienating people. And they appreciate that about you because you forgive them. You don't tell them how to live, but you give them things to think about. And most importantly, you accept them changing without shaming them about it, which encourages them to grow even more. So go you for that. And remember to step back when you need to and let others do the same when it's necessary for them. For the S personality, you are the embodiment of sweetness and support when you're in balance. And when you support something, you'll do whatever you can to help out. When you don't, things get tricky because, like the I personality, you detest confrontation and want people to like you. As a supporter, you'll never be the one leading the charge, yelling and chanting, but you will be the person who helps make the signs and maybe stays behind to make sandwiches or serves water at a check station. You're the one that's making sure that everyone rests and feels like they're part of the team, no matter how small of a part they play. And your superpower is building bridges and making sure everyone is cared for and is treated kindly. You see the individual and you help them feel like they all matter in advancing the cause, sometimes minimizing your own contribution in the process. In a land of leaders, you prefer to be the worker bee, and you do your job quietly. You make others look good, and as long as they acknowledge that on occasion, preferably in a private setting, you can go for days on a simple, appreciative comment. When you feel like you're being taken for granted, though, you may resort to dropping hints and innuendos about being appreciated, but unless the people around you understand that passive-aggressive language, your hints will likely go unnoticed, not because people don't care, but because they don't get what you're hinting at. The way to overcome that is to be a little more direct, which can be a challenge for you. As an example, I used to clean for hours and nobody ever noticed. I would make a special dinner. Nobody would comment. And I started feeling taken advantage of. So my husband and I started playing this little game. When I did something I was particularly proud or happy about, I would show him or I would tell him about it. If I showed it to him, I would say something like, "Now tell me how awesome this looks," or something to that effect. If I told him about it, I would tell him how difficult it was and tell him to congratulate me. And in the beginning, it seemed really silly. But you know what? Two important things started to happen. First, I started learning how to ask for what I wanted rather than getting resentful about my family not noticing what I did, which only led to me being a grumpy martyr. Second, my family, especially my husband, started looking for things to comment on before I asked. They noticed things they never noticed before and showed their appreciation without me having to ask for it, at least some of the time. And that's where the S personality shines. in making even difficult situations easier to navigate because they do their best to acknowledge everyone and make them feel important, often going the extra mile to do so. Keep building those bridges, you supportive people. The world needs you more than you know. Finally, we come to the C personality. These are our data and fact-loving people. Before you take on a C personality in a debate, you better be ready to back up your opinions with facts and data, or it will be a short discussion because that cautious and correct personality does not suffer fools. While the other personalities join or support something without a full understanding, the C personality will not. They are grounded and systematic and rarely, if ever, act without a great deal of thought. While the D personality is passionately marching, the I and S personalities are happily relating, the C personality is diligently amassing an arsenal of information. They're the ones writing the reports, organizing letter writing campaigns, and finding out who exactly to contact to align with to bring their particular light into the darkness. Do not underestimate how powerful their information can be for leverage and for advancing their cause, because it is usually exhaustive and in-depth. As long as the C personality has someone to make sure that they use that vast knowledge to act, their knowledge can catapult any group further than they ever dreamed they could, because they know the facts that both sides will use and how they'll use them. This happens to be my lowest personality trait, and yet I managed to marry a man with a high level of C and bear three children who all have the C personality in their basic personality mix. To say raising those questioning, data-loving children was a challenge is an understatement. But they taught me to look for answers and move forward in ways I never would have been able to without them. They taught me the value of starting with more information and a willingness to learn from the data I found. It has taken me further as a human being than I can measure. And we need people like that to show us what is really going on in this world. Because one of the most amazing things I ever heard was that data doesn't lie, but people lie with data. So you need a good C personality to help you decode that. And in my mind, that is an amazing superpower. So, do you know which one of these light bringers you are? Are you the determined, outspoken, driven personality? Maybe someone who lightens up the situation, or who supports behind the scenes, or who provides amazing information? Whatever way you can bring light into the darkness, I encourage and implore you to do it, because the world needs you now more than ever. I was talking with some young people lately who are truly struggling to find the good in this world. They need people who do see the good and can help them find the hope they seem to have lost. In that light, I always say I have something to offer to the world. And that is taking an assessment and making a $12.95 investment in yourself that can change your life for the better in every way. Then, to take that life beyond a simple understanding of yourself and others, you have two great choices. You can book a one-on-one session to take a deep dive into the ways to boost your success in every area of your life, or you can sign up for the Moving Toward Better, Discover Better weekend retreat in September. That's where we're going to take everything about your personality and supercharge it in ways you cannot even imagine. At the retreat, we're going to teach you how to make every area of your life and business work with your personality rather than against it. Trust me, when you do that, you live better than you ever dreamed you could. Instead of returning to the grind after the retreat, you return to your life feeling amazing because of the strategies that you'll learn and that you'll be able to implement immediately to make positive changes in your life and business. It is going to be such a fun weekend. where you're going to learn how to support those you love in ways that are meaningful to them and for you. You'll learn how to get the best from yourself and others by genuinely speaking their language without denying or without burying yours. Tickets are limited, so reserve your spot today. It's going to be a great time to recharge and return to your life feeling better equipped to deal with everything in your world than ever before. So sign up today, seriously. The links are in the show notes for everything I've talked about today. Finally, if you know someone this episode can help, please share with them. We all deserve to bring our light into the darkness and help the people who need us. Also, remember to subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you're listening so you know every time a new episode drops. It is truly my mission to help people upgrade their life, feel better in their own skin, and create a life they love, whatever that means for them. So until next time, keep moving toward better with your unique and amazing personality. Love you all, and I'll see you soon. At Moving Toward Better, it's our mission to help you live your best life powered by your unique and amazing personality. To make sure you never miss an episode, subscribe to the podcast today and head over to movingtowardbetter.com to learn more about how amazing your personality actually is. As always, all pertinent links are in the show notes. Thanks for listening, thanks for being you, and have a great day. Love you all.